now to debate the issues confronting U.S. politics right now. Democratic strategist Joe Listingy and Republican strategist Bruce Haynes. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us.
Thanks for having
us. Of course, two political outsiders, Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders, are attracting a lot of attention away from the candidates that were supposed to be the leadership nominees. Joe Listingy, one poll shows Bernie Sanders actually in the lead. Is it time for Hillary Clinton to be panicking about that and the emails?
No, I don't think so. This has been one poll, and that's correct. If you recall, back in 2004, Howard Dean had his day in the sun as well. The poll was out of New Hampshire, which is right next to Bernie Sanders' neighboring Vermont there. They know Bernie very well up there, and the liberal base up there has always been very invested in him. So seeing a surprise bump up there is nothing new. And if you look at the way the campaign has progressed, Hillary really hasn't started campaigning yet in major earnest. There's not any big media buys yet. The campaign on the Democratic side has been much slower than that on the Republican side. No debates, nothing like that yet. Hillary will close the ground very quickly, surpass, and then eventually push towards the nomination. Bernie Sanders will not be our nominee.
All right, we'll come back and talk about the emails in just a moment. But
Yeah.
Bruce Haynes, how damaging is this going to be for the Republican Party, and how sustainable is this Trump surge? Because he's out there, he's the loose cannon, he's taking the attention off Jeb Bush, who was really, for a lot of Republicans, supposed to be the guy who was going to be nominated by the Republicans. So talk to us about how long that can go on for without really taking a toll on the party.
Well, I think actually if you look at it, it can go on for a long time. You've got Donald Trump. He's leading in the state polls in Iowa and New Hampshire and South Carolina, and he has access to a politician's best friend in a long campaign, and that's ready money. He can spend. He's got big staffs of credible operatives in these states. He can go on a long time. I think whether it's damaging or not depends on, does Trump mature as a candidate? Do his views become better formed? And does he continue to draw people into the conversation that Republicans would like to have, as opposed to one that sounds shrill and angry? Or does he continue to go off on a negative track? The last few days, I think we've seen parts of Trump try to moderate his message a bit. He's promised to come forward and talk about some concrete policy proposals and some things that people would like to hear. So we'll see. The good news, the difference for Republicans and for Democrats is we have a deep bench here. We don't just have Jeb Bush. We have John Kasich, who's rising to the top of polls now in New Hampshire. We have Marco Rubio with an outstanding story, personal story and conservative credentials.
But they're getting overshadowed, aren't they?
You guys nervous?
Well, they're getting overshadowed in August. So it's a long campaign, but they're not completely getting overshadowed. We've certainly seen John Kasich's poll numbers in New Hampshire, for instance, take a huge leap. Jeb Bush is certainly holding steady. Rubio's gaining ground, and Trump's numbers are beginning to slide.
Bush, I mean, must be a real disappointment for a lot of Republicans. That's what the polls are showing, isn't it? They've gone, you're not really living up to expectations here. We're going to move our support and go to Trump.
I think that they're very different candidates, first of all. I'm not sure they were ever going to get the same voter. And in a large field like this, you don't win with 50%. You know, a Republican's probably going to win Iowa with something like 35%.
Joe Listingy, Democrats had hoped Hillary Clinton's email saga would go away, but it certainly hasn't, has it? It's actually getting pretty messy now. How worried are Democratic strategists about where this is going and what impact it could have on her campaign?
Yeah, I mean, I will say that it's usually darkest before the dawn, and what she did today by turning over the servers to the Justice Department and signing, by the way, she signed the affidavit under penalty of perjury that she had turned everything over. I mean, she really is putting it out there on the line saying, look, I've cooperated. I've given them everything they want. I'm putting it all up for review, and I have nothing to hide behind. So I actually think this is going to be a slow turn, but a big turn on the corner with the email debate that'll finally put this to bed. If the Justice Department doesn't have anything in here that they can work with, which obviously I think Hillary believes they don't when they put it forward and signing the affidavit, then it's going to turn a corner for him, and it's going to be something that sort of falls off the front page, I think, for a while.
Bruce Haynes, is this email saga for Hillary going to fall off the front page? Is it going to be put to bed by this?
Not at all. I mean, she's turned everything over. So now the question is going to turn to what's in what she's turned over and an analysis of that. And if you're a Republican, the thing that's interesting, I think, when you look at this is that the problem with Hillary Clinton's campaign is not something that's coming from the outside. It's not Obama's policies. It's not the Sanders energy and the big crowds. It's the problem with Hillary Clinton's campaign is her worst opponent that she's running against is Hillary Clinton, and she's kind of losing to her. It's her email server. It's her emails that have been deleted. It's her foundation that the questions about finance and the implications of policy decisions that might have been made. And, you know, it's her remarks that have gotten her in hot water from time to time. You know, Republicans look and see that Hillary Clinton may not be the insurmountable candidate that you fear to run against after all. She may be very similar to the one that lost in 2008 to Barack Obama.
All right, Bruce Haynes, Joe Lestingi, very interesting debate there. We'll see what happens, watching very closely. There's no doubt US politics is quite extraordinary, definitely for those of us not from America. Many thanks to you both.
Thanks for having us.
Rosemary.